Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Yazid and I'm from class C, and here I am want to presenting our discussion material about challenges among multilingual speakers of English. The first slide is the challenges according to expert. Mandarani study would state that the difficulties frequently faced by students when speaking English is they know the language but they cannot speak because they lack of vocabulary mastery. The similar phenomenon is also found in Tuan and my study, who suggested that foreign language learners worried about making mistakes, fear to be criticized, and losing face. The last problem is they use first language to deliver their ideas with others who use the same first language, said Hendrawan. In general, many people understand that English has been regarded as one of the international language for international communication. This means that many people of different nations use English to communicate each other. Afterward, when the people are able to speak English, they can interact with others without obstacles. The next slide is the difficulties in speaking English among multilingual speakers. The difficulties in speaking English faced by students are such as they are difficult to find some words, fear in making mistakes, first language influence, and low participation. The first problem is that students are difficult to find some words to express their ideas through speaking. Baker and Westrop argued that many students find difficulty to answer teachers' questions using foreign language because they do not have ideas. They are confused about which vocabulary to use, or they do not know how to use the grammar correctly. Other experts, Tatam and Morton, found that many people can understand the language but they cannot speak it. It means that the students understand but cannot speak. It happens because the students are difficult to find some words. The second problem is that students are fear in making mistakes. According to Goktape, the problem which is often faced by students is that they are afraid of making mistakes when they speak English. Thus, when students begin to speak English, they are worried about making mistakes, fearful of criticism, and simply timid. The third problem is the influence of the first language. Many students think that using the first language will make it easier for them to deliver with others who apply the same first language. Harmer mentioned that students still apply their first language due to several things. Firstly is when students discuss about topics that they do not understand. They will use their own language to deliver their thought with others about the topic. Secondly, is natural things to do. For example, in learning activities, students will often use first language than foreign language, especially English. The last problem is low participation. When students do not participate in learning process, especially in speaking English, it will make them have little time or opportunity to speak English. Based on Tuan and Mai, there are some students will dominate when other people speak very little. For example, when the students are in the large group to discuss some tasks, sometimes there are one or two students who always talk active who dominate the class while others only speak very little or not at all. Then, it makes some students think that it is not important to get engaged in the class. The next slide is strategies to overcome students' difficulties in speaking English. The first one is cognitive learning strategy. According to Weinstein and Mayer, cognitive is the ability to think that can help students in determining learning goals. One of the characteristics of cognitive learning strategy is like students can determine their learning goals by their knowledge that they have. For example, students are learning about the rules of grammar to avoid misunderstanding while communicating. The second one is affective learning strategy. This strategy explains about emotional and attitude of the human. For example, they feel anxious while speaking English. To reduce anxiety, they can do it by taking a breath to stretch all the muscles in the body such as neck and face. Thus, this technique focuses on their mental and sound. The last one is psychomotor learning strategy. It includes student skills and ability in doing an activity. For example, they can practice their vocabulary with singing a song or karaoke. The last slide is conclusion. The difficulties and challenges that multilingual speakers commonly have are that they may understand what is being discussed, but they are unable to communicate their thoughts or ideas in English. I agree with the problem being discussed because I, too, have difficulty in speaking English. When speaking, there are several concerns, one of which is the fear of incoming criticism because too much judgment is received, making us even more terrified when we make mistakes. The second one is lack of vocabulary is another factor that causes us to be confused when we try to speak English, since we don't know how to explain our words. To get more confidence, we must study and practice a lot in order to be able to talk clearly. There are plenty of methods for learning a language, not just by reading books, but can also be adjusted to each individual's interests. That's all of my presentation for our discussion material about challenges among multilingual speakers of English. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.